This is Anderson. Signing from Porto to Manchester United in 2007, his work permit was originally rejected, but the order was overturned because of the exceptional talent he would bring to Premier League. Yep, this remarkable talent had already seen him become the best player in the 2005 Under-17 World Cup, and upon his arrival in the Premier League, he was mesmerizing. He was so good, fans started comparing him to the legendary Ronaldinho. He was clearly the future of football, and yet he seemed to have disappeared, and while fans wondered what could have happened to him, he was charged to court in 2021 with accusations to money embezzlement. So today we are looking at how Anderson went from being the future of football to fugitive. But I must warn you, this story is not for the faint of heart. At the age of 14, his father passed away, with Anderson's position as oldest son, placing him at the head of the household. Meanwhile, many of his childhood friends turned to drugs and violence, passing away during their teenage years. It was a hard upbringing, one which required Anderson to learn who he was from an early age. All the money the player earned through football was sent home to help his 3 siblings and mother, Doralice, who worked 2 jobs to fund her child's talent. As a result of his mother's perseverance, Anderson made his first team debut at 16, scoring a free kick against bitter rivals International. Relegated in his first season, he would go on to score the goal against Nautico to send Gremio back to the top flight, in a game his side ended with 7 players. Such a big impact meant it wasn't long before he was attracting interest beyond Brazil. Officially moving to Porto in January 2006, manager Adriança purposely left him out of the squad to avoid alerting other European clubs to his ability and ensure one full season with the Brazilian at his disposal. Consequently, he only played 5 times in his maiden campaign, although was thrust straight into the action the following season. Handed the prestigious number 10 shirt, Anderson scored in the season-opening 3-0 Supertaça victory over Vitória Setúbal. Many were amazed by the youngster's talent, not just his dribbling, passing, and technique, but his ability to dictate the tempo of a match. There were also lightning bursts of speed and fantastic strength for a player standing at just 5'7". Links emerged with Jose Mourinho's Chelsea, but Sir Alex Ferguson had sent his brother Martin to scout Anderson, when he returned literally begging Fergie to sign him, and he obliged. When Anderson arrived in Manchester United, all looked set. Old Trafford was one of the biggest clubs in the world, and it was time to prove that he had what it takes to reach the top. The death of his father had prepared him for life in Manchester, with the player talking of how even at 15, he had the mental attitude of a 24-year-old. Such maturity impressed Ferguson, with the Scot opting to hand the Brazilian his debut in the early September clash with Sunderland. He was used in a similar role to the one he had at Porto, sitting just behind Wayne Rooney as the engine room of the team. But then, somehow a problem arose. He was not effective. An injury some years ago had made him slow, and his only strength was dictating play in midfield. And for the next 1 year, he scored only 1 goal, the goal being a penalty. Despite how underwhelming he was, the fans still had faith in him. They believed that the next season would undoubtedly be his breakthrough season. Instead, it was hampered by injuries, and injuries would become a mainstay in his career. In 2009, after 2 years, he scored his first goal for the club. But by this time, some were getting fed up by the Brazilian, who seemed to be getting injured every month. He also had a fight with the coach, who questioned his professionalism. Anderson developed an unprofessional appetite. His former teammate once claimed that Anderson would eat any and everything, and would always stop the team's bus to get McDonald's. But despite all these, Sir Alex Ferguson still had faith in him, so he kept him in club, hoping that the Brazilian would sit up and become what he had the talent to be. However, that never happened, and following the retirement of Sir Alex Ferguson in 2013, 2 years later, Anderson left Manchester United on a free transfer. And 5 years later, he retired, leaving fans wondering what would have been if he had taken his career more seriously. And 1 year after his retirement, he was charged to court with claims of money embezzlement. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.